What's up?
Hey, what's up?
Hi, everyone. How are you guys doing this week?
Hanging in there.
Awesome.
Hanging in there.
I got a bit of the coffee, so I had to block myself off. Speaking of a bit of the coffees, look what I got.
Oh,
very
boys.
nice.
I'm all snazzy now. I feel like Vanna
You are
White.
snazzy.
How is everybody? I know this has been kind of a crazy week. John has been having his ups and his downs with his wheelchair issues.
Yeah,
But
I was interviewed
fun.
today for a local paper.
Oh, awesome.
To get my
How did it go?
story. It was very nice. The young lady that interviewed me was very nice, and we talked for a little while there, and she's gonna get it up there. It's called The Current, and it's a Zionsville publication. And Current's actually all over the place, but this one is from Zionsville. And it'll go up on Friday. She said possibly Friday digitally, so that people can get a head start on the story.
Nice.
So that people, it's basically going to a site that Becky Cash and her family and friends set up for donations.
right.
And I'm just like, wow. And by the way, Ark, thank you very much for ordering those levers for me. By the way, this gentleman right up here, he ordered the propulsion levers that I talked about before. And when they get here, I can actually show a live broadcast of how they would go onto my wheelchair stuff, because they just clip on and clip off. They're removable, and that's the reason why I like them. And they're easy to use from what I can see online of them. So
Right.
I'm hoping they'll meet my expectations and then some.
And whenever he gets his new wheelchair, he'll be able to use these, take them off of this one, and apply to there. So it's not like a waste of money or something like that.
Exactly. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to go with this set.
Right. So we ended up ordering that for John. We're just waiting. It's been ordered. The order's been done. I sent you a copy of the tracking number or whatever. So we're just waiting for it to get to John now, and then John will give us a little video and show us how it works. What we're doing with the other part of the money that we raised, because we still have another, say, roughly $1,700 from the fundraiser that we did for John. We are going to be donating that over to the other fund that is going right now, because is she a congresswoman or a councilman?
No. She's a local to us. She's a state representative.
So she's a state rep then.
Yeah, for in the House, and basically for our district. So
the bigger point is, so he's got, it's not just like, Bob, your local.
What is going on?
The Kyber Cave ghost.
Yeah, I'm wondering now.
But yeah, no.
So it's not like, just like some local person. He has a house person on the house who has a fundraiser running for John right now. And I want to say in the first couple of days they raised about as much as it took us 2 months to raise.
Yeah,
but she's got a much bigger position.
By that. I was just
she's got a lot of pull.
Yeah. I got some good news and a little bit of bad news. Which would you like first?
Bad news?
Okay. The bad news was that the doctor who I was hoping to get to see me, she's a physiatrist. And the reason I emphasize that is because when you type it in your phone, it's going to come up psychiatrist. 2 different animals. Speaking of animals, there's one right there. But a physiatrist is a person that's their specialty is rehabilitation and also orthopedics as well, and then a few extra little things in there. So and it's called a physiatrist, an oddball name that I only found out about fairly recently. And I'm like, but they're the gold standard for situations like I'm in, where you have a disability, but nobody can figure out what code to code it. So you go to one of these folks here if it's something that's a physical thing like that. So I was hoping to get a call from her office yesterday or today. They didn't call.
Oh.
So I'm just kind of like, okay. And then tonight, my friend Chris Cash, the husband of Becky, brought my parts back to me today. So I'm going to contact my doctor and let them. He said, if we have to get you an appointment over there, what do we got to do to get you there? I said, well, I've got my front wheel device on my wheelchair right now. That'll allow me to at least roll on in there. But I'm trying to, as you know, I'm trying to get it done at home for the home evaluation that Medicare requires.
Right.
And it's just like, I could see what's going to happen. I go there, maybe I do get the proper diagnostic and stuff. I will probably, well, Jonathan Mize, the ATP from National Seating and Mobility, awesome company, an awesome guy. He already did a home evaluation, but Medicare is very particular about how they want this done. And I don't want to screw it up anywhere. So I'm trying to get their office to come on, have somebody come on over. And I know it's not like they're not busy. They're wall-to-wall people.
Hey, John, I don't mean to be rude, but we got a lot to get through in this show.
We do.
Why don't you give us the quick version of this? There was a good news and a bad news.
Good news. Yeah, I'll get to the good news. There's a foundation that Becky has gotten in touch with that wants to cover the remainder of whatever is raised to get me this wheelchair as fast as possible.
Wow.
So I'm like, holy cow. So they're like, we don't care if you have a code or not, the diagnostic yet or not, but at least we can get you the equipment. That way you can then get to that appointment and then get on with it. So
oh man, see,
that works.
You know what's so cool about this? And
Sorry about rambling, you guys.
I don't want to, I don't want to kind of like pat our own backs, but I feel like we had a big hand.
Yes.
Kyber Cave had a big hand in getting this ball rolling.
Yes,
because I feel like it was we were the first ones to try to do some fundraising, and then Michaela's family jumped in, and now because of her family's influence, somebody else has been able to jump in. And it's like the 6 degrees of separation. You know what I mean?
I could have never imagined. I feel like I'm so undeserving of this. I don't feel like I deserve any of this help.
You do deserve it, though.
Me. That's just me, and I'm working with that. I'm working through that.
Well, you definitely deserve it. I mean, consider what you do for your communities, and for people with disabilities. You've been running your show for a long time. Trying to advocate for people of all kinds of disabilities, not just the ones that you do. Right. And I think that's actually really important, because a lot of times you see people come on and all of a sudden they want to start advocating for cancer or whatever, but it's only because it now affects them. Their mother now has it, or they now deal with it, or their spouse now deals with it.
I'm trying to cover everybody.
Exactly. And that's what I admire about you. And that's why it was put, I feel like it was put into my heart to say, you know what, I don't know if we can do this. $14,000 is a lot of money, but I'm going to do what I can.
And I am forever grateful, my friend. I am forever grateful. I mean, I sit here at night going, God, I can't believe it. I can't believe those levers have actually been ordered. They're on their way. And I can't thank ARC enough. And the whole family here, the whole Kyber Cave family. I mean, it's just like,
and the rest of the wheelchair, it's all starting to come, but you have to put the vision out there, and other people had to act on your vision. And I think this is very interesting, because if you look at it, they say sometimes it takes a village, right?
Yes, I always use that phrase. Yes.
But if you look at this took 3 separate villages from 3 separate communities. You know what I mean?
True. Very true.
And and all of them, by each one doing their little piece, can make the whole puzzle come together.
Definitely.
So, I mean, I think it's definitely a testament to the good that's out there.
Yes, it is.
Sometimes you only hear about the fantastic story where you're trying to raise $14,000 and all of a sudden this person raises $100,000 because their story goes viral. Not everybody's story is like that. A lot of people have stories like you do, where they struggle with things as well. So, congratulations, my friend. Woo-hoo.
Oh, you're very, thank you. You're welcome. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, we will definitely be keeping up with that as information comes in. All right, let's start talking about what we're supposed to be talking about as we're 11 minutes into the show.
This is our sleep series.
We are.
We
are doing a sleep series.
Yes, we didn't get the card up for the sleep series, but the whole idea of the sleep series for the audience is the next couple of shows. We don't know how many. It might be 3, it might be 5, it might be 27. The next few shows, we want to focus on sleep. Yeah, I know. I think all 3 of us can say that we need to get more. We should probably have more sleep than we are getting. Yes. And so I think that's a reason why this topic was important to us. Also, because what John and I have found is that in doing 28 of these shows, sometimes some of the basic things are as simple as getting good sleep or breathing properly. Things that sound stupid because you do anyways, but really do contribute to your overall health.
Yes.
And sometimes that's all you can do. Some of these diseases and things that we've seen, they don't have any cure. So all you can do is breathe, my friend.
Exactly.
It's true.
Exactly.
So in the sleep series, we decided to start with the fun one. And I want to give, that's another card we didn't get up. I want to give everybody a warning right now. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Jump scares.
Triggers, want to give everybody a trigger warning. If you are easily scared or if you don't like horror movies and things like that, tonight's topic might be a touchy one for you.
Yeah, you might not want to watch it.
I love horror movies.
Or you might want to grab a friend or your favorite teddy bear to snuggle up with. You know, and we are all keeping, this is a scientific, basically a scientific show, right?
We're gonna get through this. I know we can.
So let's put our tonight's topic up, which is, Aubrey, you want to read that there?
Yes, sleep paralysis, temporary inability to move or speak while falling asleep or upon waking.
Ooh. Just about everybody at some point in their life has had this occurrence happen to them, or so far as Google tells me. Most people will experience this at least once in their life. Not everybody will, but most people will experience this.
I mean, yeah, I've heard it's something that actually happens. It's pretty rare. It usually happens when people are very stressed. I mean, I have a bunch of facts about it, so we can.
Right.
This is not to be confused with night terrors or nightmares.
That's a different thing.
Very different.
Yes.
Right.
I experience both of these things almost nightly.
Oh, wow.
Night terrors and sleep paralysis?
Yes, because of my pain and my spasms. I don't get much choice in a lot of these things.
Oof.
Yeah, because I know that when I was
triggering
reading up on sleep paralysis,
nightmares
it has to do with being in that state of where you're not quite asleep, but you're not quite awake. You're in that gray zone, and that's where your mind really messes with you.
And what usually happens is I'll go to sleep, and then my back, or now with my new spinal cord nerve injury from my surgery that went wrong, I will wake up partially and I can't move, or I can't function for a few moments, and then all of a sudden I can break free of that after my body is saying, all right, turn off the chemical that's telling your body not to move. Right. And then I can finally flip and get into the proper position and get things to calm down. If I can't, what usually happens then is my spasm will happen so forcefully, it will literally catapult me out of the bed onto the floor.
Oh my God.
And that's happened to me. I don't know. I've lost count.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's horrible. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So that would be more of an example of sleep paralysis, I think.
Yes.
Sleep terror. And not I don't want to go into that tonight because that's not our focus. However, we can make that a different topic, possibly too, if we wanted to. But describe the difference between sleep paralysis and sleep terror. Or maybe Aubrey, did you read anything about that?
I did. I even have some nifty slides.
Woohoo! Getting all fancy.
No, I wanted. So we're going to add them to the stream now. So, there's one that actually says what's the difference. This is night terrors. So night terrors are night terrors coming out of a slow wave sleep that occurs in the early part of the night. This deep sleep makes the affected child or adult difficult to arouse. In sleep paralysis, which is different, may often occur toward the morning. The persistence of the REM sleep into wakefulness results in the characteristic symptoms. So, and then what are those symptoms? Well, these symptoms, here are the symptoms. The symptoms include paralysis in your limbs, inability to speak, sense of suffocation, hallucination, like, someone sitting on your chest. That's
right.
generally how that's
sleep paralysis. I want to clear it, but
this is about sleep paralysis, not night terror. Night terrors are completely
different. Night terrors are a different animal.
Very different animal. We go into them more as we, in the going through the sleep cycle. We could do our own little thing on that, but this is very different. So hallucinations are often a big factor in sleep paralysis, unlike night terrors. I mean, they're different because you're awake, but your body still they're different type of of thing. You get fear, panic, helplessness, tightening around your throat, and then you also could get daytime sleepiness, which may be a sign of narcolepsy. And narcolepsy will probably be another one of our sleep series. So this is something it usually occurs. They don't know why it occurs, but they have this. They say it has many these are some of the causes, like sleep apnea could be a cause, sleep deprivation, shift work, like depending on when you work, it could be also stress induced. And
if
then
you're dealing with chronic pain can also induce this because it interferes with sleep.
That's what it's saying, stress or chronic pain. Yeah. And then
when we're going through this, let's go through certain parts. Aubrey, I want if we can do some double dutch here. I would like to interject, go between doing some video clips and then some facts. Video clips. That way, it's not all just one chunk of
I wasn't
facts
trying to tumble it all at one into the other. I was just trying to give you a good basis of what.
Yeah, no, I love it. And
actually, and sleep paralysis.
If you guys don't mind, and I hate to sound ignorant, but after we do a couple of these clips, I really would like to revisit really quickly because I don't think I understood the difference between a night terror and sleep paralysis. Okay. So if you can help an ignorant man, that would be lovely. All right, if you don't mind, I want to hit just one or two of these videos.
Why don't you play these clips for us?
Let's play a couple of the fun ones, and then we'll do the more scientific one, like a little bit down the line.
Trigger warning.
Definitely a trigger warning.
There may be jump scares in any of these things, including the educational one. No, just kidding.
We're going to start with the fun little fact. I think we're going to do two in a row real quick.
Let's do this.
We're going to start with a fun little TikTok fact and then a movie trailer, which we don't typically do, except for that this trailer specifically talks about.
Yeah, I had to watch that trailer again when I asked that question. When I asked you, I'm like, let me just watch it again. And then I saw why you picked it. I'm like, oh, okay, it's perfect.
It's a little bit different than your typical, but anyways, so we're just going to run with two. We'll see you on the other side.
Did you know that A Nightmare on Elm Street was inspired by a real-life event? The movie's creator, Wes Craven, read an article in the LA Times about a family that was able to escape the killing fields in Cambodia. When they made it to the United States, a young boy was crippled with nightmares. He told his parents that he was afraid to fall asleep because the thing that was chasing him would get him. The parents were finally able to get him to fall asleep. But they ended up hearing screams in the middle of the night. And by the time they got...
Oh, the end, of course, the end is cut off. By the time they got to him, he was already dead.
Yes.
So that what happened?
Yeah. So was the basis of Wes Craven creating. That's where art has imitated life, right?
Yes.
Wes Craven heard about the story in the news, and then he created this character called Freddy Krueger, which we all
I wonder if it was the kid had a heart attack in his sleep because of the fear, because that can happen.
Yeah.
Yes,
it could be. And in fact, one of the other clips that I have, unfortunately, I cut off some of the cultural stuff, but it was talking about specifically that case. It came from Cambodia during the killing fields when Pol Pot had put his own people into these concentration camps. Well, this was a family that was rescued and brought to America, but this little boy had these persistent night terrors, and he was afraid to sleep. Because he would see this particular monster in his dream. And what was really cool is it actually documents that this, interestingly to me, is a universal thing. You can go to almost every culture and they have a name for this creature.
Basically, the boogeyman, if you will.
Right. Every culture is slightly different. Some cultures, it's the old lady. Yes. Some cultures, it's the demon. Some cultures, it's the dark man. You know what I mean? Like, so there's different stories and stuff like that, but they all have the same kind of themes to it. So we're going to put on the trailer right now for another movie. I do want to warn you about jump scares. Probably the next few of them, it's going to have some jump scares. Heads up. Here we go.
Interesting.
Yes.
Wow, that was what caught me on that one was the very last shot because that's something you read about in a lot of when people describe what sleep paralysis is. Sometimes people will say it feels like somebody is on top of them holding down their arms. And you could see that monster or whatever it looked like to be crouching on top of her chest or whatever. So I thought those were very interesting. John, Aubrey, what have you guys to say about that? What do you guys think?
Of course, this is played up for a movie, but this is something that people talk about all the time. There, some people have experienced sleep paralysis. Either they will experience it when they've been in a certain house, or a lot of them say that there's more paranormal reasons for these. But scientifically, it's literally the chemical in your brain.
It's basically chemistry in your body that's doing this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
There are, but it's really interesting because one thing that I could tell being played up in this movie is that she can move around more, that she's more like having dreams. And that isn't how that works.
No.
You can't move. That's part of the fear.
That's the problem. That's why you feel like something's holding you there.
Right.
That's why your mind instantly thinks something is either strapped you down or something is holding you there physically to make you not move. It's just your body's chemistry now kind of calming down until you can move again. It'll last about 15 to 30 seconds or sometimes shorter. And it
feels like a lifetime.
But when you're going through it in your mind, it feels like you're doing this for like 5 minutes or so.
Right.
It is for the person experiencing it, especially since most people don't experience this enough to where you get used to it like I have. Right. I just now, when I wake up like that, I'm just like, okay. And then I just lay there calmly until I can move, and then I flip and then get on with things. I mean, I've been doing this now for 28 years.
Wow. So did you have the hallucinations when you first started having
I get them still. I still get them, like, especially as I'm going to sleep. I will get something that's like reaching for my head or reaching for my arms, but it's nothing that I can describe with actual clarity of what it looks like. It just looks like darkness and a shadow, and then all of a sudden something seems to lurch towards you. It's like having your eyes closed and then seeing something coming out of the gray. It's kind of like this. And then all of a sudden, something comes out of the gray there, and it's kind of like that. It's just movement. So if it seems like something's there, but it's not really a figure. And then it's over within a split second. It's just like, oh, okay.
Is it the same thing each time for you, or does it ever have variety, or does it change?
My nightmares change every time I have a nightmare. They never stay the same. Stay the same because I face my nightmares head on. I refused to. I've been like that since I was a kid. I refuse to back down from my nightmares, and so every time. In fact, I've had reoccurring, ongoing, lifelong reoccurrences with certain nightmares and stuff, and have been able to basically work through that process to where no, it's no longer a nightmare. Now it's actually something that when that dream comes up, I'm looking forward to it. Hey, welcome. We got who's that?
And welcome, Addo Hyde.
Well, welcome here. And yes, it is very fair to say third.
Welcome, friend.
We are talking about sleep paralysis. Yes. If you have any input, we'd love to hear what you think or know about this as well. John, continue with your story.
Okay. So basically, that's a sleep paralysis experience. A nightmare is when I wake up screaming my head off.
Right.
Okay. Part of that's from the pain, but basically during that part of it, the nightmare goes completely sideways on me, and even though I'm facing it, I die in the nightmare.
And but yeah,
it's always a different thing. It's like I can never prepare for it. I'll be just doing something in my dream, and then all of a sudden, pow, the pain comes up, and then something causes my left SI joint in my dream that just suddenly, like one time it was a shark that came out of a freaking gutter, out of the sewer. It was just, I'm like, a shark. And then something else took me, and then I woke up screaming. Yeah, so that's more of a night terror rather than a sleep paralysis thing. Yeah, and that usually happens to me further into the sleep cycle than it does at the beginning. It typically happens to me around 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and bam, I'll get one of those. Not all the time where I scream, but sometimes it'll be bad enough to where I scream out loud about it. I'm awake, and then I have to get comfortable, and then I go right back to sleep. Again, I've kind of gotten used to this cycle for me, so this is my normal routine, and I really don't think of it as much of a big thing until we started talking. I'm like, wow, I kind of know a little bit about this because I experience it practically nightly.
Wow. Hey,
I mean, if you deal with chronic pain in any way that wakes you from a sound sleep, I'm sure you understand. Or if you've been in chronic pain before, in pain before, to where it's waking you up and you can't sleep, I am certain that you know kind of what this is like, because it's not unique to just me.
Right.
What were you going to say, Ark?
I was going to say, Aubrey, on your list of facts, did you have anything in here that might be interesting to interject about in this part of the conversation? You had all those lovely list of...
You got a lot of great stuff there.
Material.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, as I said, there is a difference, as John was saying, there is a difference between night terrors and sleep paralysis, but we're talking about experiences with sleep paralysis. I've had only one instance of sleep paralysis that I can think of, and it happened when I was very young.
Okay.
I fell asleep in a car, in my mom's car. She went to my youngest sister's house, and I fell asleep in the car, and while we were there, when I was having it, it was like I would wake up and I couldn't really move, and it did feel like something was on my chest, but I would go back to sleep during this, and I would have all of these like night like vignette dreams that was happening, and they were actually coinciding with what was happening actually in real life, but they were dreamlike.
That happens too. Yes.
Yeah, and then finally, I broke the sleep paralysis by sheer willpower, actually. It felt like I couldn't move at all. And I broke it simply because it was like something was telling me I have to get up. And so that's the closest I've ever come to experiencing sleep paralysis.
Wow. And
actually, I've had another instance, but this isn't sleep paralysis. I actually punched my fiance at the time in the face, but I had dreams that someone was chasing me.
That's a night terror.
And it was like a night terror, and I actually like managed to get my fist up, and I punched.
Oh wow!
Yes.
Because my fiance at the time was actually like trying to get me to wake up, because I was struggling in my sleep, and I actually reached out and I punched him in the face, and he was like, "Oh my god, that was a great punch, but are you okay?" People were chasing me. But that's very different than sleep paralysis. But
yes, it is.
The fact that I was able to get myself to actually move through sheer willpower was kind of amazing, because most people that doesn't happen to until their body actually, the chemical in there. And I had a massive migraine afterwards. Like, it was probably one of the first times I actually had a migraine, was after forcing myself out of that sleep state. So let's get some of these slides. Hold on. I might go through a couple of the same slides that we had. So
hold on really quick. Really quick.
Yes,
we have a comment. Does this go for when you're sleeping on your arm and you're in a dream and you're getting attacked, and when you wake up you scream a bit and your arm is numb? I think that does. I think that's your body's response.
That's a night terror.
That's a night terror.
That's a classic in my book, night terror, that you experienced with that.
Right, because your body's responding to the environment, right, of what's happening.
And then your brain is acknowledging it in your dream, and then it
trying to figure out a scenario
and scream.
Right.
Yeah.
Or act out like what Aubrey did with punching.
Right.
Yeah, and the paralysis is literally you cannot move anything. You can't move. Eyes.
No, the paralysis.
You cannot move at all, and that was the big difference between the one I was telling when I had a child and I was asleep in the car. I could not move in that term. It felt like something was on my chest, and it was like, it felt like what the thing was that was on my chest. It kept lulling me back to sleep. So I still, like, I kept having all of these dreams, but when I would wake up and I try to move, I couldn't move, and it felt like there was still something in my, like, on my chest, kind of whispering, like, go back to sleep, go back to sleep. So it was very interesting, and it was very different than what I just described with me waking up by punching my ex-fiance in the face. He didn't deserve it, by the way. He didn't deserve any of it. And he was like, good job with your punches. It was really funny, but it wasn't, it had nothing to do with that, but it was very different. They're very different experiences.
I've had one experience with sleep paralysis And I'm usually one with a pretty bad memory, but it was so horrifying. It's one of those things that was kind of etched into my brain. And looking at it and thinking about what John said, where because it only happened to me once, of course it's horrifying. You don't know what it is or what to expect. If this happened to me a second and the third time, I think I would be able to be much more calm during the thing, because I know, okay, just hold on for 5 minutes. Your body's gonna, do what it does. You're gonna regulate, and this will all be over. But when you're first time you're going through something, it's freaking horrifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, mine wasn't terribly horrifying, but it was weird. It was like, it's the only.
I totally know what you mean. Yes.
I will say was I was
I'm
horrified.
sure it was. I'm not discounting the horrificness of it. I'm just saying, in my experience, I wasn't terribly afraid, even with the feeling of something on my chest whispering in my ear. Yeah. It didn't feel terrifying to me, which is, I don't think is normal. I think most people experience fear, but I was going through a lot of inner work at that time. I know it sounds at 8 years old at the time, but I had night terrors all the time about Freddy Krueger. It was like constant. So I was kind of working through a lot of that. Speaking of Freddy Krueger,
I love Freddy.
It's totally fine.
No, you want to talk about these stages?
So there are 4 stages of sleep. The stage, you can read it here. Stage 1, non-rapid eye movement.
Yeah.
Which is, it's a transition between being awake and being asleep. That's kind of like that gray space.
That's where this would happen, right? Isn't that where
that's generally where night terror, when they talk about where night terrors, because there is a difference. There's one that happens towards morning, one happens when you're falling asleep. That's generally where the night terrors tend to be, or in the middle of the night. But stage 2 of the NREM, your body temperature drops and your heart rate slows, which is very interesting. And then in your stage 3 of non-REM, that's when you go into delta. Actually, you're going into delta sleep. You're in your deepest sleep, and where everything relaxes and your brain activity slows down, and you don't dream. But this is when you go into that delta sleep state, and it's supposed to be the deepest part of sleep. Then you go into REM sleep, which is dreams occurring and your body is immobilized, and your brain is that's when your brain activity increases. And that's also, they say, rapid eye movement. That's why they call it REM. So that's generally when we have most of our dreams, is right before we wake up. At least that's the idea, is that you don't generally sleep throughout, or you don't generally dream throughout the night, unless you're me, because I do. I have very, very, very vivid lucid dreaming.
You have lucid dreams.
I have very lucid dreaming.
Yeah, you know that you're dreaming. That's what I end up in.
I mean, it's even more than that. It is so vivid and so clear. Like, I remember dreams I had years ago because of it. Like, and it's all night long. I've even had it where I've been awake and dreaming, like not sleeping.
As a kid, especially, I did that.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, I'm experiencing everything that's happening, but I'm also aware of what's happening in my room. It's very strange. It's a very strange place to be.
I had to do that.
All right, let's get back.
Anyway,
let's get back towards topic, because we still got a bunch of film
it is,
clips.
But it's not. It's just different than that. But these are the 4 types of sleep.
Right.
So going back to that, so sleep paralysis happens during the stage 4. So you don't act out the dreams or anything like that. It's not like sleepwalking.
Yeah.
But you tend to go into a state of wakefulness, and your body still has the chemical going through it, which still keeps you immobilized.
Right. Yeah, that's what I remember reading about, was that the reason you feel like you have paralysis is because your body's being flooded with the hormone that makes your body kind of, freeze up so that it can rest and sleep. Very, very interesting.
Yes. So there's, I believe,
when I was little, I had constant night terrors of a wolf version of Michael Jackson in Thriller music videos. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe night terror might need to be a different topic. I don't know.
No, that's what I was saying. Is I think it needs to be. That's actually all the slides we have. So
okay, well, let's get back. Let's get to a couple of these movie clips, because we got a bunch of them. This was another one, and I think it's because it's so common universally in every culture. This is understood. B, it's horrifying and scary, and it's an experience we all may share, and therefore I think it makes for a really fun horror movies, which is why we were able to find so much good content for this week. keep in mind that our goal here on this channel, we are not, none of us are doctors. This is just to kind of let you know about something you may have never heard about before, and give you a jump off point where you can do your own research. We like to tie it into pop culture, and because sometimes there's diseases or things that you've heard about in movies, but you forgot about that movie because you haven't seen it in 20 years.
Or series, yeah.
Right. Steel Magnolias was a good example for me of something that I totally forgot about from the past, but deals with the subject. At any rate, so because this is such a fun and freaky one, it does lend itself to a lot of horror movies. So again, as we get into these clips, I do want to warn you of potential jump scares. Don't be sitting there with your hot cup of coffee on your lap as you're watching these. But we're gonna roll through a couple more. I think we'll roll.
They don't scare me.
Yeah, you don't scare me. I think we're gonna try to run through like 3 or 4 of these shorter, fun ones.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then we'll get to the more
medical ones. Trigger warning for everyone watching.
Yes, trigger warning. Trigger warning.
Trigger warning.
Here we go.
The Dacho does sound very much like your typical sleep paralysis experience. During sleep paralysis, a sleeper awakes to find that they cannot move their body. Then they become aware of a shadowy figure in the room with them. The figure slowly moves towards the bed before climbing on top of their body, inducing a suffocating, smothering sensation. This phenomenon of sleep paralysis appears to be ubiquitous across cultures worldwide. As such, the entity encountered during sleep paralysis is known by many names. The Old Hag is her English name. In Thailand, she's known as Phi Am. In Turkey, they have the Karabasan, the Dark Presser. In the Philippines, she is known as Batibat or Bangangot. Whatever the culture, the details are surprisingly similar. A dark-looking entity climbs on top of the sleeper and suffocates them. I personally have only ever...
All right, we're going to go right into another one. That's what I was talking about. It's very universal across many different cultures.
I hate the sound of the noise. It's like almost like spirits or demons kind of screaming at you. So then you hear it's almost like a buzzing that starts, and then I can sense a presence standing over me, just standing right here next to me on my bed, standing over me. Then you hear this sound. It feels like somebody's screaming right in your ear. Like they're right here and they're screaming. And I can sense the color red, as if they were wearing something red, like a dark red robe of some kind, or something red. And I tried to look at the face, but I couldn't. Every inch, every centimeter feels like a ton. And so I'm trying to move, and I want to see it, and I'm looking, I'm straining to look up. I could barely move my head. It was almost going like this, and then I think I said something. I just said, I remember this guy, his name is Jesus, and I'm gonna use his name right now. And I'm gonna say, just in Jesus' name, you get out, or I said something to that effect.
Jesus' name. In Jesus' name. Get out.
And I suddenly sensed that the demons, or the thing that was happening to me, that evil presence, just left, gone. And it was amazing. It was like a feeling of victory. Yeah.
When they never came back.
Yeah, very cool. We got I'm going to show two more, and then we got two more that we'll save for a little bit later. They're more of the scientific-y ones, but that one is actually from a documentary about sleep paralysis. But I like how they kind of incorporated, some of what she was seeing in her head, and made that
Yes.
part of the thing. And
Mhm.
I feel like it was very accurate too. You know what I mean? It showed the monster, how, and she was saying she couldn't breathe, she could barely turn her head. Um, so that was good. All right, let's get into this next clip here. All right, sorry. Let me explain. I accidentally hit number 2 first, and then I realized it was number 2. I was like, we've got to see number 1. So this is part 1, then part 2. My apologies. My bad. Rewind.
I was very
Retake.
confused.
Yeah, that's my fault. That's what happens when you hang out with me. I confuse people easily. All right, here we go. Part 1. Sorry.
They can't refill my prescription. I've been taking way too many pills. It's not up for like 3 days.
Well, how long have you been up?
About, at this point, about 92 hours.
Holy shit, that's like 4 days.
I know. I don't think you understand.
Listen, man, listen. I'm gonna go work. I'm gonna get off and I'm gonna come straight to your house. You think you can wait another more day?
This is the worst it's ever been. Yeah, one more.
Kyle.
Kyle, you there?
What? Give me a second.
Kyle, man, talk to me. Hello?
Damn it. Okay, okay. Oh, yeah, okay. Here we go. Part 2. Here we go. I was so into that, man. So oh, here we go. Okay, so yeah, I think that was supposed to be what I think the clips were mislabeled, and then also the sleep paralysis.
Sorry about that.
No, no, it's all good. I think part of the end got clipped off where they show the monster like coming through the doorway or whatever. That one though I thought was a really good depiction. My personal experience, I had this happen to me one time when I was in college. I was at the University of Oregon and I was in the international dorms. My roommate was from Greece. He was a cool guy named Stephanos. And the way Stephanos and I had our dorm room was we got those wood pallets, and then we put our beds on top of that so that we had area underneath the bed to put storage stuff. There was tiny little dorm rooms. And then at the foot of the end of the pallet, the end of her bed, which was we each had a desk on our own sides of the room. So I remember being up in my bed. And I remember waking up and I remember being able to distinctly look around the room because I remember seeing Stephanos at his desk, like doing his homework, and I couldn't move. I was paralyzed. And I felt this presence, like I felt a squeezing on my arms. And I felt something like it felt like it was sitting on top of my chest. You know what I mean? Like as if a kid was sitting on your chest holding you down.
Yes.
And I could see a swirling. It wasn't like very distinct, but it was definitely something there. It was like a swirling of like a ghost body. And I remember her being relatively thin for being that strong. You know what I mean? I remember thinking like, wow, whatever this thing is like, really strong for not being. But I also remember vividly trying to call out to Stephanos. I remember in my head I was screaming Stephanos, but the words wouldn't come out of my mouth. And I remember like trying to use divert all my power to my vocal cords just to scream out to my roommate. You know what I mean? Because I thought this was real. I thought there was some kind of demon on top of me. You know what I mean? I was like, damn, this is more of an education than I bargained for. But I thought there was something crazy going on, and I was trying to call into my roommate, and it didn't happen. And then after about it was probably only a minute, maybe 2. But in my head, it felt like I was there for like 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
And because, I was having trouble breathing, I'm trying to call out to my friend. I don't know if I'm stuck in like this forever. You know what I mean? I don't know what's going on with me. Finally, it went away. The demon or whatever it was went away. I was able to breathe. And then I called out to my roommate, Stephanos. And he said that he heard me kind of like, but he thought I was just like talking in my sleep and not like enunciating my words. So that clip was very, very interesting to me.
Well, it's like it's the difference between the night terror and the sleep paralysis. That was a good depiction of both of them. So the first one is he wakes up from the terror.
Yes.
From the night terror. Then he gets up and he apparently, I guess he has sleep paralysis medication. He tried to take it. And then he had.
So we had those at our house. Hey, what's going on, Daddy? So those were out of order. But at first he's been awake for like 96 hours because he's afraid of these terrors. And then he accidentally drops his pill into the sink. And then that's when he calls his buddy and he's like, I've been awake for this long. And then he has the where he falls in. But that one I thought was interesting too, because that one was very akin to how I felt. He's lying on his back, right? And you can see he's trying desperately to move his body, but all he can manage
twitching his finger
is a twitching finger. But his eyes are still working. He can see all around the room, and he can hear and sense everything. It's absolutely terrifying if you haven't had that experience. Definitely our family out in Florida is wacky. He is not a Florida man. He's one of the good ones. So sleep paralysis is definitely very, very real. It's very terrifying. If you have not gone through it, no, it's not something you're not going to live through, and it's not life threatening to most degrees. I guess it could be people. Right. If you were also tie this in with trauma or with PTSD, I'm sure it could have different degrees of health consequences. For most people, it's just a scary thing that happened to them. You know what I mean?
I mean, the more we know about it, the less likely you're going to have those effects, right?
Yes.
When
Yes.
people did not know, I mean, this is why you have the tales of, like, you know, at least in Western Christian-oriented people, they'd say it's like demons or succubuses or
Yes.
not incubus. Those are kind of the similar experiences that they have, and I've seen a lot of documentaries about this, actually.
Yes.
So
Right.
it's really fascinating how much it can affect your psyche, and it's usually when people are really stressed out, like things are.
Yes, stress plays a huge part in a lot of things.
Mhm.
Right. I also found this interesting too, that this is not something that's exclusive to adults. Like, well, you said in your example, children, you had this happen to you when you were a child, Aubrey. And when I had done the research and read, it said that, you know, it could occur in children, which just seemed weird to me. You know what I mean? Okay. On the one hand, it doesn't seem weird because it's a natural, scientifical, biological function, right? It's just, you're just happen to be caught in this weird state of going from being awake to being asleep. So it's not crazy in that sense. What is crazy is that many people purport to have very similar visions.
Isn't that weird?
Of a demon or,
from
haggard
different parts of the
Or some
world
type
and
of
different
creature.
periods of time. I mean, we're talking about something that's universal.
Exactly.
It is, yes.
And Forrest, you're correct in that. You experienced exactly what sleep paralysis is.
Right. Forrest says, is it sleep paralysis if you're dreaming and you try to move but you can't because you're pinned in camper? Yes.
That's exactly what it
said.
is.
Okay,
That's exactly what it is.
Sorry.
I said
Yeah,
yes.
and Forrest, as we were saying, this is something that's very common. Aubrey and I both have had an experience with it. Many people.
Mine was not as terrifying as the other, as your guys's, though. Mine was not that terrifying, relatively. Right. I generally just was like, I would see, you know, movement around outside, couldn't really move, and then it felt like something was on my chest telling me, like, you should go back to sleep. Like, that's literally
that's kind of terrifying to me.
It wasn't. It didn't feel that terrifying. It did feel like there was something there that was ominous.
Yeah, and that type to me is not terrifying. No,
right.
I've had that type, like you're describing, something like that, like lulling you back to sleep. And I never find that one scary. I always just find that one kind of comforting. It's like, okay, I'll go back to sleep.
Right.
Well, yeah, I mean, it felt ominous, slightly ominous, but it wasn't, you know, as these kept happening,
like
it got more and more like, I was like, okay, you need to get, it was more and more in my head. I'm like, okay, this is not good. You need to get up. Like, you need to wake up, something. And and again, I think it was hot. It was hot in the car. I mean, it was probably not more than a half an hour when I fell asleep in the car, if I remember correctly. But it was, you know, it's like, okay, why is this thing trying to keep me going back to sleep? I need to get out. I need to get up right now. And that's when I forced myself to get up. Right. But it was, you know, it's like, I need to get up. And it's like, no, go back to sleep. Go back to sleep. I mean, I'm making it more funny than it was, but it wasn't terrifying. It didn't feel as terrifying as like your guys' experience was. But
you didn't feel threatened overall, did you?
Towards the end, yes. And that's when I was like, okay, I have to get up.
And that's when your mind decided it's time to get up. Okay.
And that's when I forced myself awake. And it literally felt like I was forcing myself awake.
It does, yes.
Yeah. And then I had that massive headache afterwards. It was like, what did I just
migraines.
fight off?
Oh, yeah.
Forrest says it's nuts. I dreamt I was jumping down and couldn't fight back and couldn't yell. Yeah, Forrest, I suggest, I know you're just now jumping in. The beautiful thing about YouTube is as soon as we're done, you can go back and rewatch it.
Yeah.
I think if you rewatch the rest of this show, you will see that these experiences are exactly what you experience. We were talking about how it's very interesting that it's a universal thing that in every culture, lots of cultures they reference
and throughout history.
Yes, throughout history, and these are very different from nightmares and night terrors and lucid dreaming. It's very very different, or very dreaming within a dream, or having those dreams within a dream.
Dreamception.
Exactly.
I mean, it's pretty interesting. There's some cool media stuff about that, and it made me think of that.
All right, so I got 2 more vids,
Okay.
One is more just the scientific, the fun. Let's really talk about it. It's not, any design. There's no jump scares in this one. And the last one actually talks about how if you're experiencing dream paralysis, some things that you can do to make your life a little better. So here we go.
Hey, Alex, welcome, my.
Sleep paralysis is a relatively common phenomenon in which someone experiences a state of immobility just before falling asleep or upon awakening. People who experience sleep paralysis are awake and generally aware of their surroundings during the episode. They typically can open their eyes, but are otherwise unable to move. On average, an episode only lasts several minutes. During an episode of sleep paralysis, a person may also experience hallucinations and abnormal sensations, including perceptions that there is someone else in the room, out-of-body experiences, and feelings of suffocation or choking. Some have hypothesized that these types of experiences may be the basis for various accounts of supernatural and other unusual encounters, such as contact with ghosts, demons, and aliens. Although sleep paralysis is not fully understood, it is generally believed to occur due to an overlap between REM sleep and wakefulness. During REM sleep, neurons in the pons act to inhibit motor neurons in the spinal cord, causing a pervasive loss of muscle movement. And yet, there is a great deal of brain activity occurring in REM sleep, and it is the stage of sleep when we typically experience our most vivid dreams. Sleep paralysis is thought to either involve a failure to activate neurons that inhibit REM sleep, or a hyperactivation of neurons that promote REM sleep during a time when a person is either waking or falling asleep. Thus, they experience aspects of REM sleep that spill over into wakeful consciousness. Despite being awake, they experience the paralysis that occurs during REM sleep, and sometimes hallucinations that resemble experiences more likely to occur in dreams. The feelings of suffocation or choking that some report might be due to difficulty breathing deeply, caused by interference with normal respiratory muscle function that occurs in REM sleep.
Yep. So that just highlighted a lot of what we've actually been talking about.
Sure did.
Exactly.
Sure did.
And then we got one more. This is more of things that you can do to help
Sleep paralysis. It's real, it's terrifying, but here's how you can prevent it. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night and found yourself literally unable to move? Maybe even had visual, auditory, or tactile hallucinations? Then you may have experienced sleep paralysis, a terrifying ordeal that affects up to 10% of the population. During sleep paralysis, despite your conscious state, your muscles are frozen due to a disruption between REM sleep and wakefulness. While there's no definitive cause of this disruption, it has been linked to some medical conditions: insomnia, shift work, narcolepsy, PTSD, anxiety, stress, and panic disorder. So what can you do to prevent this? Get 7 to 9 hours of sleep nightly, go to bed around the same time, exercise regularly, don't eat, smoke, drink alcohol or caffeine right before bed, and don't sleep on your back. If all that fails, don't hesitate and reach out to a sleep specialist near you. Or you could check out my sleep hacks video right down below. Sweet dreams.
Well, I think I know why I probably don't have it. I don't sleep on my back.
Yeah,
I'm a side sleeper typically.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, I sleep on my side too. That's kind of funny. When he ends with "Don't sleep on your back," it sounds very much like a Nightmare Before Elms. Don't go to sleep. Like as long as you stay sleeping on your side, you're cool. But the minute you shift your back, you're in trouble, brother. And then it's funny too because
it's really funny.
The reason why that one cracks me up is, in my case, I was laying on my back and I remember my arms being held down and her sitting on my belly, right? And in almost every case that I've heard from other people, it's always been where they were on their back. I've never heard of this from somebody who was a belly sleeper.
You're correct. Every time I have my experience is on my back. Yes.
So I wonder if that has something to do with the position of your brain. Like maybe your brain has to be in a certain way to have this type of hallucination.
Could be.
Seems positional, right? I mean, this shit doesn't happen on your side.
No.
This has been a very interesting episode.
Yeah, we were able to get lots of good information. You know what I thought was funny about the Dr. Miles TikTok that we just watched on what can you do to make it better? That man did not say a damn thing. He did not. Other than sleep or don't sleep on your back. Those same exact tips you can use for any chronic disease you have. If you ate better, slept better, went to bed on
It's like going
time.
to get your fortune read.
I mean, it's
Don't
also
smoke.
things that they say to do, like when you are experiencing
The
acid
most
reflux.
vague description that you can give.
Right.
Yeah.
Like he just wiped out like 70% of the diseases on the planet.
And we have no need to do any more broadcast here, folks. We're done.
Our work is done here. Thank you, Dr. Miles.
And
Dr. Mike, yeah.
Dr. Mike, sorry.
That's so funny.
All right. Well, what do you guys any last thoughts here? Or?
I think no.
You
can. There is medication you could also take so that you don't dream, which is something that they actually went through in Freddy Krueger 3, I think, and that is a real thing. You can get, and I do know. I mean, I've heard of people who actually do take it, where their dreams are so vivid that they actually do take it, so they don't dream because it causes a lot of problems.
Right.
But yeah, you can actually take. I don't remember what it's called, but you can take something so you don't drink. You don't have sleep paralysis issues. Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, yeah, and whenever possible, I know with John and myself. Well, at least I'll speak for myself. I always like to advocate when I can for non-prescription medicine, pre-packaged pharmaceutical.
Absolutely. No, we don't want that. I'm just saying for people who have it severe.
Right.
Use those things only when necessary and when you're communicating with the proper health professionals.
Right.
Always check. Study that will help.
Always check with your own physician, and then do your own research. Don't just trust them.
Oh yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
It ended up like me.
Guys, I think this has been a fun episode this week.
Fun. This was fun.
We had a ton of different stuff. And this was one where, like I was saying on the boards, I really don't feel like we're going to have a lot to enter because I think this is something that a lot of us experience, and there's so much information out there that, we wouldn't, it basically did its work for us. Unless your physician is a hack.
Unless your physician is a hack. That's true.
Have a great night to you too. We want to thank you for tuning in.
Next week, thank you for tuning in.
We will have another topic. Being here. Do you guys, Aubrey or John? Do you guys have a choice for next week's topic, or are we going to figure it out later?
Errors.
It's something in the sleep series.
It's me something with sleep.
It's something in the sleep series. I would say I personally would advocate that we take a break from Night Terror because it's similar to this. And talk about
sleep apnea.
Apnea was something else.
That works.
Yeah, we were talking about it. Okay, so I guess that will be our topic.
So next week we are doing sleep apnea, guys.
Yeah. We finally got our stuff together. We at least know in advance. Yay! So as part of our sleep series next week, join us and we will talk about sleep apnea. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. Don't forget to go to kcpmerch.com and get your own lovely
KyberCave.com to get one of these.
Oh, yes. KyberCave.com. That is always helpful. Don't forget, we give away Saber.
You got to check it out. Something's watching me behind me. I see the eyes behind me. Do you guys see that? Am I hallucinating this?
I was going to say, those are kind of freaking me out earlier in the show, but I just kind of put them out of my head. I had to visualize that they weren't there.
Come watch all the Kyber Cave shows. We have a lot of them, and they're fun. And we are planning on doing more even. So.
Just like Forrest says, we have shows 7 days a week.
We do. Yeah, they do.
And we do come out with more all the time.
The always fun, intellectual, and very highly talented Miss Captain is on many of the different shows, on many of the different nights, mostly gaming.
Yes. I do a lot of the gaming nights. In fact, after this stream, I will be going to record for gaming.
Wow.
So
wait, but you do Wednesdays with Mez, you do Thursdays with Force, Fridays with KC. Do you do Saturdays?
Yeah, every once in a while. Yeah, I've been trying to get up. Yeah, trying to do that more. I do it probably every two. So just because I've been trying to get up, but it's hard generally because it's so early in the morning.
Right. We got all different kinds of gaming for you too. Don't forget we got Retro Alcove. Hey! And there's our man right there.
Yep, and I'm sometimes on Retro Alcove. I just haven't been on there lately because trying to get Matt, or as I call him, Dampy, trying to get Dampy to play Lord of the Rings has been tough. I know.
Yeah, well, that man does a ton of different shows as well.
He does a ton of different shows. Yeah,
it is amazing. Everybody on this channel works very, very hard to bring you fun content. We hope you enjoy. But we are here for you. So we will be back
playing.
today.
Yeah, we're going to be playing Ghostwire Tokyo tomorrow.
Tomorrow, Wednesday, right? With Mez.
Yep.
Woohoo! Are you on that one?
Myself. Yes, I'm on that one. In fact, it's going to be through me. I'm going to be playing it.
Oh yay!
I've done it playing solo twice, and I'm gonna play it with her this time.
Well, wonderful. Make sure to tune in tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. on Mezzy's channel, but with Aubrey as our star. And
I mean, we do it together. It's equal. It's equal give and take here.
Mr. John is back in the seat. We are excited to have you back at Hearts of Kyber.
Well, thank you.
And then we will see how your progress goes as your new wheelchair comes in, and then maybe we'll get beat down, re-jumptified.
Yes, I'll get back into the mix with the beat down.
That's right. All right, guys, we are tuning out. Let me find our outro here. We are tuning out. Make sure to tune in tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. for Mezzo Getty.
Thomas, I hope to see you there, buddy.
Bye, Thomas. And let me know when you get your shirt, Thomas. I don't know if it's been mailed out yet, but I know we got your request.
These shirts are great that they have. Oh, let me tell you, I got 2 of them.
I need to get mine.
Thank you. Aubrey, when we hook up, I got shirts for you, Aubrey.
Sweet.
All right, peace
All right,
out.
bye, guys.